What's good, my lovely peoples? It's your humble servant, Solace here. I want to do this quick video basically breaking down how the, du- the Duat story in ancient Kemetic is a story about conception. We must grasp this. This was their way of breaking down the conception, basically, of a man ascending to become whatever being he would be in the next life. So it's a simple but deep thing. Now, I want to break down. Hopefully, most of y'all are on y'all knowledge trip and y'all have read the Book of the Dead and y'all have understanding of the 12 gates of the underworld. The 12 gates. Now, I'm going to break down to y'all what happens during conception. Because in conception, you have like 7 periods, or you can say 7 gates. 7 things that the sperm cell must survive through before it reaches the egg. So you figure from the penis to the egg, you pass through the vagina and a whole bunch of other stuff before you get to the egg. And there's a series of things that happen that destroy the sperm cell. Basically, it starts out with a lot of sperm cell, and by the time you get to the egg, most have died. So it's a deep but simple thing. And it's just like in the story of the Duat in the 12 gates. Same thing. When the sun sets, this is when, basically this is Ra sets. This is his death. And during the hours that the sun is set, before it rises again, it takes the dead souls through 12 gates, or a series of 12 tests. And then it ascends in the morning. And whatever pharaoh died would ascend to be the sun now, and he would be Ra. So this is basically just a quick rundown of that. Now, that is basically the telling of conception. Sperm cell micro life. It is alive. This is the telling of it getting a body and ascending into the next life. In its next form would be what you see now. Now, in the conception story, you have 7 gates. There's no conception story. You can look up what happens in conception, but I broke it down into 7 gates so you can understand how it is like, or exactly like, the story of the underworld, the Duat, and all of that in the Book of the Dead. Now, grasp this. In conception, soon as the sperm cells leave the penis and enter the vagina would be gate 1. Some of them don't even pass through. They get burnt up in the mucus. Others pass through. Some sperm cells don't even make it in. But those that are smart enough, they are deeply buried into the semen. This is their protection. So when they passing through the vagina, you can say that's like a mucusy, fiery world that'll burn the sperm cells up. But they have the semen to protect them. But many of them get burnt up in this. Now, in the underworld story in the Book of the Dead, in gate 3, you have the fiery lake. In the bad spirits burn up in the fiery lake. The good spirits are able to pass through. Grasp that. This is in the Book of the Dead. The bad spirits burn up in the fiery lake. The good spirits pass through. This is just like with the sperm cells in the vagina. Some pass through, some burn away in the acidic mucus of the vagina. Then you get to gate 2, which would be the cervix. It's a little passage. Still with mucus too. It's in the vagina. Sperm cell pass through that. Some burn up, some get trapped off. Those that pass through, they make it to gate 3. This is the uterus. So gate 2 is the cervix. The the little passageway. Gate 3 would be the uterus. This is where it gets deep, because the cells in the woman's body, the microcells in the woman's body, see the sperm cells as foreigners, like a virus. So they attack them. Now, we all know the micro life looks like sperm cells, like serpents. Now, in the Book of the Dead, in Gate 3, after the spirits are passing through, the Pharaoh must fight Apophis, a serpent devil type of thing. So this is the same. The sperm cell get the Gate 3, which is the uterus, and then they get attacked by the sperm cells in the woman. You must remember, the Book of the Dead telling is of the Pharaoh. So it is told in the Pharaoh's perspective. This is why it's just him fighting Apophis. And it's just one serpent, as opposed to in conception, it's a bunch of sperm cells and a bunch of cells in the woman's body getting it on at Gate 3. Those that survive, they pass through, they make it to Gate 4, which would be the fallopian tubes. I call that the fork in the road. Some sperm cells go the wrong way, you know what happens to them. The ones that go the right way, they reach the egg. But the egg is barricaded in something, I forgot the name, but it's barricaded in. This would be Gate 5. Those that can push their way through the barricade will arrive at Gate 6, which is the Zona Pelusa, which is basically just shell. So don't get stuck on big names. That's just for goofbags. They like to hear things like that, so you have to throw it in there for them. But it is just the shell of the egg. Now, when they pierce the shell of the egg, they arrive at Gate 7, which is the lake of life. But scientists would call it the nucleus. Now, the first sperm cell to dive into the lake of life, or the nucleus, is the sperm cell that will ascend to become a zygote, so on and so forth, to be born and to be a baby, or Ra. This is why the eye of Ra is the pineal gland, or the things within the brain. Because men have brains. Just watch my videos and you'll understand what level of life you are on. You are the macro of the level of the life that you are on now. And you have the micro. Then when you look above and you see the stars, you have the micro of them in the macro. So it is a simple thing, but we must grasp, we must learn. All life is alive. Up above as below. What you see up above is alive. The cells within you, they're small. You can't see them, but they are alive. And they're doing what they do. They fight, they get it on. They do everything you do. Now, the ancients had to have a way of breaking down conception and things of this nature. So we have to grasp this. They had conversations of this. And this is the way they explained it to the nations. This is what happens during conceptions. They called the sperm cells serpent. This was their name for sperm cell. Serpent. So when you hear serpent and I don't know how I became devil and all this dumb shit, but serpent is sperm cell, the ancients' way of breaking it down. So we must just get understanding to understand these ancient texts we're reading. They're all describing something in the life. We have microscopic imaging, x-ray, all types of stuff to see for ourselves. And then we have our names for them. They had drawings and carvings to describe what they knew, which is the same things we know. And they had their words for it. So, in ancient Kemetic, the underworld story, the Duat, the 12 gates, all this is the conception story of a man being conceived, or a woman. That is all it is. If you trip out and say, well, you said 7 gates in this one, and this 12 in the Duat. Well, if you know the Duat, and a lot of them is just like the first gate. When Ra